Chapter 1. The Almost Perfect Wedding. Ren had orchestrated over 200 weddings in his 5-year career as a VIP wedding planner, and he prided himself on one thing: nothing ever went wrong on his watch. Not the oil heiress who demanded 10,000 white roses in February, not the tech mogul who insisted on getting married underwater, and certainly not the politician's daughter whose 3 separate lovers all showed up to object. He handled everything with precision, charm, and just enough creative problem-solving to earn his reputation as the best in the business, which made this current disaster all the more spectacular. The call had come at 11 p.m., 3 days before the event. His phone lit up with a number he didn't recognize, and a clipped, professional voice informed him that the Coleman wedding needed immediate supervision. The previous planner had resigned due to personal reasons, industry code for either a nervous breakdown or a very generous payoff to disappear quietly. Ren knew the name Coleman. Everyone in the city did. J. Coleman, heir to the Coleman family fortune, a business empire built on weapons manufacturing with roots that stretched deep into the city's underworld. The kind of family whose wedding invitations were less celebration and more summons. The kind of wedding where you smiled, brought an expensive gift, and asked absolutely no questions. The pay was obscene. Ren accepted. Because I'm a professional, he'd told himself at the time. Definitely not because my rent is astronomical and my assistant keeps eyeing those designer planning tablets that cost more than my car. Now, 15 minutes before the ceremony was set to begin, Ren stood in the bride's preparation suite doing his final check, the ritual he performed before every wedding, the last chance to catch any detail spiraling toward chaos. What he found was Mina, the bride, halfway out of her wedding dress and halfway out the window. "What the hell are you doing?" Ren hissed, closing the door firmly behind him. Mina spun around, her eyes wild with panic, designer lace pooling around her ankles. Her carefully applied makeup was streaked with tears, and her hands shook as she clutched the window frame. "Oh, good. Excellent. Fantastic. The bride is literally climbing out a window. This is fine. Everything is fine." "I can't do this," she gasped. "I can't marry him. I don't love him. I don't even know him. My family, they made me. The money." Her words tumbled over each other in frantic desperation. Ren's mind raced through the possibilities. Outside this room, 300 guests waited in the garden. The Coleman family, the bride's family, politicians, business moguls, and people whose presence alone could shift the city's power dynamics. Security was tighter than a presidential visit. And the groom, J. Coleman himself, was waiting at the altar. Right, so we have a runaway bride, 300 witnesses, and a groom who probably has people disappeared for less than this. Just another Monday. "Okay," Ren said, his voice steady despite the chaos unfurling in his chest. "Okay, breathe. Tell me everything, fast." The story came out in broken fragments. An arranged marriage, brokered like a business deal. Mina's family, wealthy but drowning in debt, had accepted a substantial sum from the Colemans. She was the collateral, the transaction, the pretty bow on a very ugly arrangement. "I have to leave," she whispered, "right now, before they lock me into this forever." Ren looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not a spoiled heiress, but a terrified young woman trapped in a gilded cage. Well, shit. He made a decision that would either be the most compassionate or the most catastrophically stupid thing he'd ever done. Probably stupid, definitely stupid. Why am I like this? "My car is in the west parking lot, black sedan, 3rd row." He pulled the keys from his pocket and pressed them into her shaking hands. "Go to the airport. Get out of the city. Don't look back." Mina stared at him in disbelief. "You're helping me?" "I'm buying you time," Ren corrected. "You run. I'll figure out how to explain to a weapons dealer why her bride is currently sprinting toward international waters. This is fine. I'm fine. I've had worse Mondays." "That's a lie. I've never had worse Mondays." Chapter 2. The Art of Controlled Chaos. Ren's entire career was built on the illusion of perfection, and now he would deploy every skill he'd ever learned to create the illusion of a delay. Step 1. Lie to a priest. Step 2. Lie to everyone else. Step 3. Pray I don't end up in a river wearing cement shoes. Excellent plan, Ren. Truly your finest work. First, the officiant. Ren called in a favor, a very expensive favor, convincing the officiant that there had been a scheduling mix-up and his arrival needed to be delayed by 20 minutes. The man grumbled but complied. Thank God for clergymen who owe me for that disastrous beach wedding in monsoon season. Next, the mother of the bride. Lady Sautel was a formidable woman who'd been hovering near the preparation suite like a well-dressed vulture. When she approached to check on her daughter, Ren intercepted her with his most professional smile. Smile, Ren. Smile like your life doesn't depend on this woman not opening that door for the next 15 minutes, which it absolutely does. Mrs. Sato, Mina is just taking a moment to compose herself. Nerves, you understand. She's requested a few minutes of privacy before the ceremony. Lady Sato's eyes narrowed. She seemed fine earlier. She seemed fine because she hadn't made her prison break yet, you terrifying woman. Wedding day jitters strike at the strangest times, Ren said smoothly. I've seen it dozens of times. She'll be ready shortly. Perhaps you'd like to greet some of the guests in the garden. I believe the Kalmans were asking after you. The mention of the Kalmans did the trick. Lady Sato nodded curtly and swept away. And she's gone. Beautiful. Now I just need to keep approximately 300 people from noticing that the bride has fled the country. Ren checked his watch. Mina had been gone 12 minutes. She needed more time. Airport's at least 30 minutes away, 45 in traffic. Come on, Mina, channel your inner action hero. You can do this. When 25 minutes had passed and whispers began rippling through the guests, Ren knew he couldn't stall any longer. He knocked on the preparation suite door, loudly for the benefit of anyone listening, then opened it to the empty room. He let genuine shock cross his face. Not hard, considering I'm genuinely shocked I've gotten away with this as long as I have. Mrs. Sato, he called, his voice tight with controlled alarm. We have a situation. Chapter 3. Damage Control. What followed was the most elaborate performance of Ren's career. I should win an award for this. Best Actor in a Crisis of His Own Making. The Oscar goes to idiot who helped a bride escape a mob wedding. He informed Lady Sato quietly, his expression grave. She went pale, then red, then a strange, mottled combination of both. But she was a woman who understood appearances, and appearances were everything. Ah, yes, the universal language of the wealthy. Plausible deniability and strategic lying. Together, they crafted the narrative. The bride had suffered a sudden medical emergency. The wedding would be postponed. An ambulance was already on its way. Ren's assistant, bless her quick thinking, donned the discarded wedding dress and veil. When the ambulance arrived, arranged through another expensive favor, she was whisked away on a stretcher, face obscured, while Lady Sato played the role of distraught mother to perfection. My assistant deserves a raise, a massive raise, and possibly therapy after this. The guests were informed of the unfortunate medical situation with the appropriate mix of concern and discretion. Most seemed to assume the reception would proceed as planned. The wealthy were never ones to waste good champagne in catering, and filtered toward the banquet hall. Of course they're going to eat. Why waste $40,000 worth of Wagyu beef just because the bride vanished? Priorities, people. The party was subdued, filled with whispered speculation. It lasted less than 2 hours before guests began making their exits. Ren worked through the evening, coordinating with vendors, managing the seamless dissolution of what should have been the event of the season. By midnight, the venue was empty, and Ren was exhausted but satisfied. The wedding had been paid in full weeks ago. His job was done. Crisis averted. Bride safe. Payment secured. Time to never think about the Kalman family ever again. He thought that would be the end of it. He was catastrophically wrong. Of course I was wrong, because when have I ever been right about anything? Chapter 4. The Reckoning. 2 days later, Ren received a summons. Not a request, not an invitation. A summons. The letter was on cream-colored cardstock with gold embossing, because apparently even death threats from the wealthy have to be aesthetically pleasing. He arrived at the Kalman estate, a sprawling mansion that looked more like a fortress and was escorted through marble hallways by silent, stone-faced security. They led him to an office that radiated quiet power, dark wood, leather-bound books, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Cool, 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 very ominous, love the ambiance. Really screams you're about to be murdered in a very expensive room. And there, behind an imposing desk, sat Jay Kalman. Ren had seen photos, of course, but they hadn't prepared him for the reality of the man. Jay was devastatingly handsome in the way dangerous things often were. Sharp jaw, calculating eyes the color of storm clouds, and an aura of controlled menace that made the air feel heavy. He wore a perfectly tailored suit and an expression of lethal calm. Oh no, he's hot. Why is he hot? This is unfair. Criminals shouldn't be allowed to look like they walked off a magazine cover. This is a violation of some kind of rule. Mr. Ren, Jay said, his voice smooth and cold as silk over steel. Please, sit. It wasn't a request. Ren sat, keeping his expression neutral even as his pulse quickened. Don't stare at his jawline. Don't think about his jawline. Stop thinking about his jawline. You're about to be killed and you're thinking about jawlines? Jay leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin. I'm impressed by your work, the way you handled the situation at what was supposed to be my wedding. Very professional, very smooth. Thank you, Ren said carefully. Is this a compliment before he has me thrown off a building? Do villains do that? I feel like villains do that. There's just one problem, Jay continued, his eyes never leaving Ren's face. My bride stole a considerable sum of money when she ran. Money her family had already received as part of our arrangement. Money that now needs to be returned. Ren's stomach dropped. Oh shit, Mina, you beautiful disaster of a woman, you didn't mention that. And given how seamlessly you orchestrated her escape, Jay said, his tone almost conversational, I can only assume you were her accomplice from the beginning. That's not... So here's what's going to happen, Jay interrupted, his voice dropping to something dark and final. You're going to compensate me for my losses, either with the money or... His gaze traveled over Ren with deliberate intent. Another arrangement. Another arrangement? What does that even mean? Is he propositioning me? Is he threatening me? Both? Ren felt anger flare hot in his chest, burning away the fear. Absolutely not. I don't care how attractive this man is or how many weapons his family probably owns. Nobody threatens me in a fancy office and expects me to just roll over. He leaned forward, meeting Jay's dangerous gaze with his own fierce glare. Let me make something crystal clear, Mr. Kalman. I had nothing to do with your bride's decision to run. I helped her because she was terrified and trapped, and I'm not in the habit of enabling forced marriages, no matter how rich or dangerous the groom is. Something flickered in Jay's expression. Surprise, perhaps, or interest. You have a lot of nerve, Jay said quietly. You have a lot of audacity, Ren shot back, assuming I'm intimidated by your threats. I am absolutely intimidated by your threats, but I will literally die before I admit that. For a long moment, they stared at each other across the desk. Then Jay smiled, a slow, predatory smile that sent an entirely different kind of shiver down Ren's spine. Oh no, that smile should be illegal. That smile is definitely illegal. This, Jay murmured, is going to be interesting. Why do I feel like I just signed my own death warrant, and why am I kind of okay with it? Chapter 5. Negotiations with the Devil. Ren refused to break eye contact first. It was a matter of principle at this point. Also, if I look away, he wins, and I am not losing a staring contest to a man who probably practices intimidation in the mirror every morning. Interesting, Ren said, keeping his voice level. That's one word for it. I'd call it more of a misunderstanding that could be cleared up very quickly if you just listen. I'm listening, Jay interrupted, that infuriating smile still playing at his lips. You helped my bride escape, you admit this. I helped a woman who was being forced into marriage, yes. A woman who stole from my family. A woman who took what she felt she needed to survive, Ren corrected, which, by the way, I knew nothing about, so if you're looking for your money, you're barking up the wrong wedding planner. Great. Excellent word choice. Very professional, Ren. Really selling me I'm not intimidated thing. Jay tilted his head, studying Ren like he was a particularly interesting puzzle. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. I've been told I'm a healthy combination of both. By my therapist, frequently, with deep concern. The money, Mr. Ren. $50 million. That's what Mina's family received and what Mina transferred before her departure. Jay's fingers drummed once against the desk. Her family claims they don't have it. Mina is conveniently unreachable, which leaves you. Ren's jaw dropped. He's nuts. My net worth barely cracks a fraction of that. Where would I find this kind of money? 50 million? Are you insane? I'm a wedding planner, not a venture capitalist. I don't have that kind of money. Then we have a problem, Jay said softly. The way he said problem made it sound like a death sentence. Think, Ren. You've talked your way out of worse situations. Remember the incident with the ice sculpture and the senator's wife? This is just like that, except with more potential murder. Look, Ren said, forcing himself to breathe normally. I understand you're angry. Your wedding fell apart. Your bride ran off, and now you're out a significant amount of money. But I'm not your enemy here. I'm just someone who made a split-second decision to help someone who was desperate. A split-second decision that cost my family millions of dollars. Ren pinched the bridge of his nose. What exactly do you want from me, Mr. Coleman? Because I can't give you money I don't have, and I can't undo what's already done. Jay stood, moving around the desk with the fluid grace of a predator. He was taller than Ren had realized, and when he leaned against the desk directly in front of Ren's chair, the proximity sent Ren's heart into overdrive. Personal space, please. Why is he so close? Why do I not hate how close he is? Here's what's going to happen, Jay said, his voice low and dangerous. You're going to work off your debt. Ren blinked. I'm sorry, what? You heard me. You owe me money. I'm willing to accept alternative payment. Alternative payment? Okay, brain, we need to not go where we're currently going because this is definitely not that kind of situation. What kind of alternative payment? Ren asked warily. Jay's smile widened. You're going to plan events for me, for my family, for our associates, until your debt is settled. Ren stared at him. You want me to sign away my entire career to you? I want you to be my exclusive event planner. No other clients, just mine. Oh, this is a trap. This man is going to work me to death planning mafia weddings and crime syndicate galas. For how long? Until I decide your debt is settled. That's not exactly a clear timeline. No, it's not. They stared at each other, the air between them crackling with tension. He's enjoying this. The bastard is actually enjoying watching me squirm. And if I refuse? Ren asked. Jay's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. Then I'll assume you were complicit in the theft, and I'll handle this through other channels. Other channels? He means violence. He definitely means violence. Ren's mind raced through his options. He could refuse, but he'd likely end up as a cautionary tale. He could run, but the Coleman family had reach that extended well beyond the city. He could try to negotiate, but Jay didn't seem like the negotiating type. Or he could agree and figure out an escape plan later. Option 3. Option 3 is looking really good right now. Fine, Ren said, hating how defeated he sounded. I'll do it, but I have conditions. Jay raised an eyebrow. You're in no position to make conditions. I'm in the perfect position to make conditions, Ren countered, finding his spine again. You want me to plan events. Fine, but I do it my way. My staff will be well paid and no interference with my creative process, no demanding I plan anything illegal, and I get Sundays off. Sundays are non-negotiable. A man needs at least one day to have a breakdown in peace. Illegal, Jay repeated, amused. What exactly do you think I'm going to ask you to plan? A heist? With your family, I'm not ruling anything out. Jay laughed, an actual genuine laugh that transformed his whole face. For just a moment, he looked less like a dangerous crime lord and more like a regular person. A devastatingly attractive regular person. Stop it. Stop noticing how attractive he is. He literally just blackmailed you into indentured servitude. All right, Mr. Wren, we have a deal. Jay extended his hand. Wren looked at it like it might bite him. This is absolutely a mistake. I'm going to regret this. He shook Jay's hand anyway. The moment their palms touched, something electric shot up Wren's arm. Jay's grip was firm, warm, and lasted just a second too long. Oh no, we are not doing this. We are not having chemistry with the man who's essentially holding us hostage. Your first event, Jay said, not releasing Wren's hand, is in 2 weeks. My mother's birthday gala. 500 guests, spare no expense. 500? Wren choked. In 2 weeks? Problem? Yes, a massive problem. That's impossible. That's no problem at all, Wren heard himself say. I'll make it the best birthday gala this city has ever seen. Why am I like this? Why do I keep making my own life harder? Jay finally released his hand, that predatory smile back at his place. I look forward to working with you, Wren. The way he said Wren's name, without the formal Mr., sent another unwanted shiver down his spine. We're doomed. We are so incredibly doomed. Chapter 6. The Team Meeting from Hell. Wren stumbled out of the Kelmon estate an hour later, his mind reeling. He'd been given a folder, an actual physical folder like some sort of spy movie, containing details about the guests for the upcoming gala, contact information for the Kelmon family's preferred vendors, and a black credit card with his name embossed on it. He gave me a black card. Do I laugh? Do I cry? Do I max it out on spite purchases? The moment he got into his car, thankfully returned from the airport impound after Mina had abandoned it there with a note that said, "Sorry, M," he called his assistant. "Please tell me you're not dead," were the first words out of Yuki's mouth. Not dead. Worse. What's worse than dead? Employed by the Kalmon family indefinitely. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, what? Ren spent the 20-minute drive back to his office explaining the situation. By the time he pulled into the parking lot, Yuki had cycled through shock, disbelief, concern, and finally landed on morbid fascination. So you're basically his prisoner, but with event planning duties, Yuki summarized. That's actually a very accurate assessment, yes. This is either going to be the best or worst thing that's ever happened to your career, or my life expectancy. When Ren walked into his office, a modest but well-designed space in the city's arts district, his entire 3-person team was waiting. Yuki must have sent out an emergency group text. Yuki, his assistant and right hand, sat perched on the edge of his desk, looking both concerned and wildly curious. She was 26, brilliant, and had a concerning enthusiasm for drama. Marcus, his logistics coordinator, stood by the window, arms crossed. He was practical, head laden, and currently looked like he wanted to strangle Ren. And Luna, his creative designer, was sprawled across the couch, already eating popcorn. "This better be good," Luna said. "I canceled a date for this." "You didn't have a date," Marcus said. "I could have had a date. The night was young." "My team, everyone. Professionals." "Okay," Ren said, dropping the folder onto his desk with a heavy thud. "I need you all to not panic." "When has that sentence ever preceded good news?" Marcus asked. "Fair point." Ren took a deep breath. "I've accepted a position as the exclusive event planner for the Kalmon family." "The what family?" Luna said. "The crime family," Yuki added helpfully. "The weapons dealing, definitely have killed people Kalmons?" Marcus said, with his voice climbing. "Those would be the ones, yes." Marcus looked at the ceiling like he was praying for patience. "Ren, buddy, friend, what the hell did you do?" So Ren filled in the other two. By the end, Luna was sitting upright, eyes wide, and Marcus looked like he'd aged several years. "You're insane," Marcus said. "You know that, right? You've actually lost your mind." "I made a choice, a terrible choice, to help someone in need," Ren continued firmly, "and now I'm dealing with the consequences. But I need you all with me on this." "You need us to help you plan events for the mob," Luna said slowly. "They prefer family business," Ren said. "Oh, well, as long as they prefer it," Marcus said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "They're all going to quit and I'll be left planning mafia parties alone with nothing but my poor life choices and a black credit card." "Look," Ren said, holding up his hands, "I know this is insane. I know this is dangerous, but the pay is incredible, the budget is unlimited, and—" "How incredible?" Yuki interrupted. Ren told them the proposed salary increase. "Whistle," Luna said. "Okay, so we're planning mob events. Got it." "Are you serious right now?" Marcus demanded. "Marcus, with that kind of money, I can finally afford to move out of my apartment where I'm pretty sure the walls are just repainted asbestos, so yes, I'm serious." Money, the universal motivator. "I'm in," Yuki said immediately. "This is either going to look amazing on my resume or be a really interesting story at my future trial." "You people are insane," Marcus muttered, but then he sighed, long and suffering. "Fine, I'm in, but only because someone needs to keep you idiots alive." Ren felt relief wash over him. "Thank you. Seriously, I know this is—" "Before we all get too emotional," Yuki interrupted, pulling out her tablet, "let's talk about this first event. Mother's birthday gala. 500 guests, 2 weeks." "That's impossible," Marcus said immediately. "That's what I said. But we're going to do it anyway," Luna added, grinning, "because we're professionals. Stupid, possibly suicidal professionals, but professionals nonetheless. This is my team, chaos incarnate. God help us all." "All right," Ren said, pulling out the folder. "Let's plan the best damn birthday party this city has ever seen." Chapter 7. The Planning Chaos. The next 2 weeks were absolute madness. Ren had planned events on tight timelines before, but never with stakes quite this high. Every decision felt weighted with the knowledge that failure could result in more than just a bad Yelp review. Usually my worst-case scenario is an angry client. Now it's cement shoes. Really puts things in perspective. The Kalman estate became his second home. Jay had given him access to a wing of the mansion to use as a planning headquarters, complete with office space, a full catering kitchen for tastings, and enough security cameras to make Ren paranoid about picking his nose. Not that I pick my nose, but if I did, 17 armed guards would know about it. Jay himself was surprisingly involved. Ren had expected to be given carte blanche and left alone, but instead, Jay appeared at least once a day, observing the planning process with those unnerving storm cloud eyes. On day 3, Jay walked in while Ren was having a mild breakdown over floral arrangements. "The roses are wrong," Ren was saying to the florist on speakerphone. "Mrs. Kalman specifically said she wanted garden roses, not hothouse roses. There's a difference." "They're both roses," the florist said, clearly exasperated. "Oh, they're both roses. Really? Wow. Thank you for that insight. Next, you'll tell me water is wet and the sky is blue." Sarcasm, my only defense mechanism when I'm spiraling. "Mr. Ren, no, listen. Garden roses have a different petal structure, a different scent profile, and they photograph completely differently. Mrs. Kalman will notice. Trust me, that woman notices everything." Jake cleared his throat from the doorway. Ren spun around, nearly dropping his phone. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough to witness you verbally destroy a florist over roses." Jay looked amused. "You're right, you know. My mother notices everything." "Great. Fantastic. He's been watching me have a breakdown. Very professional, Ren." "I'll get you your garden roses," the florist said wearily through the phone. "Thank you," said Ren, significantly calmer. "I appreciate your understanding." He hung up and turned to face Jay fully. "Was there something you needed?" "Just checking on progress." Jay moved into the room, picking up one of the fabric swatches Luna had left scattered across the table. "Velvet. For the table runners. It's elegant without being stuffy." My mother hates velvet. Ren's eye twitched. I'm sorry? She thinks it's outdated, reminds her of her grandmother's curtains. Of course she does. Of course. Why would anything about this be easy? That, Ren said slowly, would have been useful information to include in the initial brief. I'm including it now. A few days before the event. You don't like challenges? I'm going to strangle him. I'm going to strangle a crime lord with velvet table runners and they'll never find my body. Ren took a deep breath, counted to 5, and smiled. I love challenges. Velvet is out. I'll find something else. Silk, suggested Jay. She likes silk. Silk. Perfect. Great. I'll just completely redesign the entire aesthetic around silk instead of velvet. No problem at all. Jay's lips quirked. You're very expressive when you're stressed. I'm not stressed, I'm focused. Your eye is twitching. That's a medical condition. Is it called twitch your way your frustrations? Did he just make a joke? Did the terrifying crime lord, no businessman, just banter with me? Despite himself, Ren felt a smile tugging out his own lips. No, absolutely not. We are not developing feelings for our captor. That's literally Stockholm Syndrome. I should get back to work, Ren said, deliberately looking away. Lots to redesign now that velvet is out. Right. Jay set down the fabric swatch. He was almost to the door when he paused, looking back. Ren? Yes? Thank you. And then he was gone, leaving Ren standing in a room full of fabric swatches and floral catalogs, his heart beating significantly faster than it had any right to. We're in trouble. We're in so much trouble. Yuki chose that moment to walk in, took one look at Ren and grinned. Oh my god, you like him. I do not. You absolutely do. You have the face. What face? The I'm attracted to someone I shouldn't be face. I've seen it before. Okay, so Yuki is getting fired. That's happening right after this event. Maybe during. I have no idea what you're talking about, Ren said, busying himself with his notes. Now, we need to source silk table runners in champagne gold. Think you can handle that? Oh, I can handle it. Question is, can you handle your extremely obvious crush on the boss? Ren threw a fabric swatch at her. She dodged it, laughing, and left him alone with his thoughts, his plans, and the growing realization that he was absolutely, completely screwed. $50 million in debt and catching feelings for a business mogul. Just another day in the life of Ren the event planner. This is fine. Everything was not fine. Chapter 8. The Birthday Gala. The night of the gala arrived with all the inevitability of a freight train, and Ren felt equally prepared to be hit by one. Deep breaths. You've done this 100 times. Granted, none of those times involved impressing a crime family matriarch, but the principle is the same. Flowers, food, music, don't let anyone die. Easy. The Kalman estate had been transformed into something out of a fairy tale. Champagne gold silk draped every surface, catching the light from hundreds of candles. Peonies, thousands of them, created cascading centerpieces that filled the air with their delicate scent. A pianist and violinist duo played in the main ballroom, while a jazz trio waited in the garden pavilion for the after-party. It was perfect. It was also absolutely terrifying. Ren stood in the coordinator's booth, a small room overlooking the ballroom, watching the guests arrive through the security monitors. 500 of the city's most powerful people, all dressed in their finest, all here to celebrate a woman Ren had never met. No pressure, just the social event of the season, for a family that could make me disappear if I screw this up. Totally fine. Ren, the ice sculpture is melting faster than expected, Marcus said through the headset. We might need to move it away from the heating vents. Do it, and make sure the backup sculpture is ready just in case. On it. Ren, the champagne tower is assembled and looking gorgeous, Luna chimed in. Should we start the pour now or wait for Mrs. Kalman's arrival? Wait for her arrival. I want her to see it. Copy that. Yuki appeared at his elbow, tablet in hand. Guest count is at 473. We're still missing... Oh, there's the mayor. Okay, 474. Mrs. Kalman? En route, 5 minutes. Ren's stomach twisted. And Jay? Already here. He's been watching you from the balcony for the last 10 minutes. Of course he has, because my life needed more complications. Ren looked up and, sure enough, spotted Jay standing on the second-floor balcony looking devastatingly handsome in a black tuxedo. Their eyes met across the crowded ballroom, and Jay raised his champagne glass in a small salute. "Stop looking at him like that. Stop it. We have a job to do." "Mrs. Kalman is arriving," Yuki announced. Ren's attention snapped back to the monitors. A sleek black car pulled up to the entrance, and a woman stepped out who could only be Jay's mother. Elena Kalman was in her early 60s, but could have passed for a decade younger. She wore a champagne gold gown that matched the decor, intentional on Ren's part, and carried herself with the kind of grace that came from a lifetime of commanding rooms. "Please like it. Please don't have me killed if you don't like it." The moment Elena stepped into the ballroom, the duo shifted to a piece Ren had specifically chosen, Vivaldi's Spring, her favorite concerto according to the dossier Jay had provided. Elena paused, her eyes widening slightly as she took in the transformation of her home. Ren held his breath. Then she smiled, a genuine, warm smile that transformed her entire face, and Ren felt his knees weak with relief. "Oh, thank God she likes it." "Ren, you're a genius," Yuki whispered. "I'm a very stressed genius, but I'll take it." The party unfolded like a dream. Dinner was served perfectly, a 5-course meal that had the guests raving. The champagne tower was a stop-shower. The classical set transitioned seamlessly into the jazz trio for the after-party, and Elena Kalman herself spent 20 minutes in the garden swaying to the music with a glass of wine and a smile. Ren finally allowed himself to breathe. "You should go down there," Yuki said, nudging him. "Take some credit." "I'd rather stay up here where it's safe and I can monitor everything." "Ren, go. You've earned it." "Fine, but if this goes badly, I'm haunting her." Ren made his way down to the ballroom, weaving through the crowd of guests. He was almost to the bar when a voice stopped him. "Mr. Ren." He turned to find Elena Kalman herself, standing with Jay at her side. "Oh God, she's coming over here. Be cool, be professional, don't pass out." "Mrs. Kalman," he bowed slightly. "Happy birthday. I hope everything has been to your satisfaction." "To my satisfaction," Elena laughed, a warm, melodious sound. "Mr. Ren, this is extraordinary. The peonies, the music, the way you've transformed my home. It's perfect." Relief flooded through him. "I'm so glad you're pleased." "Pleased doesn't begin to cover it." She glanced at Jay with an expression Ren couldn't quite read. "My son told me you were talented, but this exceeds all expectations." Jay talked about me? To his mother? Why is that making me feel things? "Thank you," Ren managed. "It was an honor to plan this for you." "I understand you'll be working with our family going forward," Elena said, her sharp eyes studying him. "I look forward to many more events like this." "I'll do my best." "I'm sure you will." She patted him after, an unexpectedly maternal gesture, and then swept away to greet other guests, leaving Ren alone with Jay. "You survived," Jay said, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Barely." "She loves it. That's high praise coming from her." "Why does he look proud? Why is that making my stupid heart race?" "It was a team effort," Ren said, trying to deflect. "My crew is incredible." "But you're the one who pulled it together." Jay stepped closer, and Ren became very aware of how good he smelled, something intoxicating and cedar-like. "Personal space. Why is this dude getting so close? My little heart can't take it." "Would you like to get some air?" Jay asked suddenly. "It's warm in here." It was absolutely not warm. The climate control was perfect, but Ren found himself nodding anyway. "This is such a terrible idea. Why do I like it so much?" They slipped out to a private terrace overlooking the garden, where the jazz trio's music drifted up softly. The night was cool and clear, stars visible despite the city lights. "I owe you an apology," Jay said after a moment of silence. "I'm sorry? What?" "The way I handled our first meeting, threatening you, forcing you into this arrangement." Jay's jaw tightened. "It wasn't right." "You thought I stole from you," Ren said carefully. "I understand why you reacted the way you did." "That doesn't make it right." Jay turned to face him fully. "The truth is, I didn't want to marry Mina as much as she didn't want to marry me. It was a business arrangement. When she ran, part of me was relieved." Ren's heart stuttered. "Then why did you care about the money?" Because my family cared, because there are expectations. Jay's laugh was bitter. But honestly, the money was just an excuse. An excuse for what? Jay looked at him then, really looked at him, and Ren felt the air leave his lungs. To see you again, Jay said quietly. I could have handled the debt situation a dozen different ways, but instead I brought you here, because from the moment you walked into my office and called me out without any fear, I couldn't stop thinking about you. Ren's brain was short-circuiting. You're insane? Jay offered. Probably. Say something. Say anything. Don't just stand here like a malfunctioning robot. I think about you too, Ren heard himself say, which is incredibly inconvenient because you're technically my boss and also you blackmailed me and I should probably hate you. But you don't? I don't, Ren admitted, feeling like he was stepping off a cliff. The space between them felt charged, electric. Jay reached out slowly, giving Ren plenty of time to pull away, and brushed a strand of hair from his forehead. I'm going to kiss you, Jay murmured. This is a terrible idea. I'm being compromised by my blackmailer, who smells like trouble. This is a terrible idea. Fine, compromise me. I'm not going to do that, Ren whispered. Jay kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, like Jay was afraid Ren might disappear, but when Ren leaned into it, when his hands found their ways around Jay's neck and pulled him closer, the kiss deepened into something hungry and desperate and absolutely perfect. Oh, this is what kissing is supposed to feel like. Every other kiss in my life has been a practice round for this. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jay rested his forehead against Ren's. I should probably mention, Jay said, voice rough, the debt, consider it forgiven. Ren blinked. What? You don't owe me anything. You never really did. I was just looking for a reason to keep you close. You're mad, Ren said out loud. Probably, Jay agreed, then kissed him again. Chapter 9. The Reckless Aftermath. Nothing happened. Well, okay, lots of things happened, but not that. We just kissed. A lot. For like an hour. On a terrace, where anyone could have seen us. Very professional, Ren. Excellent choices all around. Ren woke up the next morning in his own apartment, which was both a relief and somehow disappointing. After the terrace incident, he was calling it an incident now, Jay had insisted on having him driven home by one of the family's drivers. You've been working for 2 weeks straight, Jay had said, still looking unfairly attractive despite the late hour. Get some rest. We'll talk tomorrow. Talk, right, because that's definitely what Ren wanted to do with his mouth. Stop it. Stop thinking about his mouth. You have bigger problems, like the fact that you made out with your sort of employer who sort of blackmailed you into working for him. His phone buzzed with the text from Yuki. Team meeting, your place, 20 minutes, get coffee ready. Oh God, they know. How do they know? Were there cameras on the terrace? Please tell me there weren't cameras on the terrace. 20 minutes later, his entire team was crammed into his small living room, looking at him with varying expressions of amusement, concern, and, in Luna's case, absolute glee. So, Luna said, grinning like the Cheshire Cat, want to tell us about the terrace? Ren's soul left his body. How do you... One of the waitstaff saw you, Yuki supplied, and told another waiter who told the bartender who told me because we had drinks after cleanup. The Calmon Estate Gossip Network is apparently very efficient, Marcus added. Kill me. Just kill me now. Launch me into the sun. Wait, maybe the moon. We were just, Ren floundered. Making out, Luna offered helpfully, because that's what the reports say. Extensive making out. Oh my God. For the record, Marcus said, I think this is a terrible idea and you're going to get your heart broken. Thank you, Marcus. Very supportive. But, he continued, I also saw the way he looked at you during the gala, like you hung the moon or something equally ridiculous. Ren's traitorous heart did a flip. He did not. He absolutely did, Yuki confirmed. It was actually kind of adorable. What are you going to do? Luna asked, suddenly serious. Ren slumped back on his couch. I have no idea. He forgave the debt, said I never really owed him anything. That's actually really sweet, Yuki said. His phone rang. The caller ID read J. Kalman. All three of his team members leaned forward like they were watching a particularly engaging reality show. I hate all of them. After this, I'm firing everyone and becoming a hermit. Ren answered. Hello? Good morning. Jay's voice was warm, intimate in a way that made Ren very aware his team was listening to every word. Did you sleep well? Fine. You? Not particularly. I kept revisiting last night. He's doing this on purpose. He knows I'm dying right now. The gala was a success, Ren said, aiming for professional. That's not what I was thinking about. Yuki made a strangled noise. Luna was openly grinning. Marcus rolled his eyes but looked amused. I'm going to murder them. All of them. Jay, I'm actually with my team right now. Tell them I say hello, and I'd like to take you to dinner, tonight, if you're free. Ren's team was making increasingly ridiculous faces and hand gestures, all of which seemed to translate to, say yes, you idiot. Yes, okay, dinner. Excellent. I'll pick you up at 7. Wear something nice. I always wear something nice. I know. I've noticed. That should not be as hot as it is. Why is everything he says hot? They said goodbye, and Ren ended the call to find his team staring at him with expressions ranging from delighted to concerned. You're going on a date, Yuki said. With a Kalman, Marcus added. This is the best thing that's ever happened, Luna declared. Ren's soul left his body. I'm going to regret this, aren't I? Probably, all of them said in unison. But maybe it'll be worth it, Yuki added, her voice softer. Maybe. Please let it be worth it. Chapter 10. The Date. Jay picked him up at 7 sharp, driving himself in a sleek black car that probably cost more than Ren's entire yearly salary. He's wearing a dark gray suit. Why does he always look like he stepped out of a magazine? It's unfair. You look beautiful, Jay said when Ren slid into the passenger seat. Ren had agonized over his outfit for 2 hours, finally settling on dark slacks and a deep blue button-down that Yuki had declared absolutely perfect for seducing a business mogul. She's right. I might never get a chance to snatch such a wealthy man, even with all the complications that come with it. You don't look so bad yourself, Ren said, aiming for casual. The restaurant was exclusive, the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu and where the waitstaff spoke in hushed, reverent tones. Jay had reserved a private room overlooking the city, all soft lighting and intimate atmosphere. They talked over wine and food, real conversation that flowed easily. Jay told him about growing up in the shadow of the Kalman legacy, the weight of expectations and family pride. People have certain ideas about what my family is, Jay said, swirling his wine. The weapons manufacturing started 3 generations ago, completely legitimate government contracts. We've built schools, funded hospitals, employed thousands. But because of some old ties my grandfather had, we'll always be those Kalmans to certain people. Does that bother you? Asked Ren. It used to. Now I just focus on what I can control, continuing the legitimate work, cutting the few remaining questionable connections. Jay smiled. My family built something that matters. I'm not ashamed of that. I just want to make sure the next generation inherits something even better. He's passionate about his family and wants to do better and takes pride in the good they've done. Why is that so attractive? You're staring, Jay observed, looking amused. You're talking about legacy and responsibility and making the world better. Ren searched for words. It's really doing it for me, honestly. Jay laughed, a genuine, unguarded laugh that made Ren's heart skip. Is it now? Shut up. Make me. So Ren did, leaning across the table to kiss him. When they broke apart, Jay's eyes were dark with want. Come home with me. Just to talk, he added quickly. I want more time with you. This is such a bad idea. Why am I nodding? Okay, just to talk, Ren heard himself say. Chapter 11. The Sweet Truth. Jay's penthouse was surprisingly cozy. Lived-in furniture, books everywhere, plants on the balcony. and a fluffy gray cat who appeared immediately to investigate. "That's Pepper," Jay said, scooping up the cat. "She's terrible and I love her." "He has a cat named Pepper. The dangerous businessman has a fluffy gray cat. I'm doomed." They settled on the couch with wine, Pepper claiming Ren's lap immediately. "I need to be honest about something," Jay said, "about why I'm so determined to clean up those last few connections." "Okay." "The wedding to Mina, it wasn't just about her family's political connections. There's an old associate of my grandfather's, Viktor Sokolov, who's been pushing to expand into less legal ventures. He uses our old family ties as leverage." Jay's jaw clenched. The wedding was supposed to give me the political backing to finally cut him loose completely, tell him the Kalmans are done with that world. And when Mina ran, I lost that leverage. But, Jay looked at Ren, something soft in his expression, I've also gained perspective. I've been so focused on managing appearances, on strategic alliances, that I forgot what actually matters. Which is being unapologetic and fearless, doing what's right, not what's expedient. Jay set down his wine glass and moved closer. "You helped Mina escape because it was the right thing to do. Consequences be damned. That's who I want to be." "Don't cry. Do not cry. We are not crying over the reformed businessman with a cat." "What happens now?" Ren asked quietly. "Now I handle Sokolov my way. It'll be complicated, but I'll manage." Jay cupped Ren's face gently. "And I'd really like to see where this goes. With you, if you're willing to deal with the complications." "I'm literally in debt to you for millions of dollars that you forgave because you wanted to keep making out with me," Ren said. "I think I can handle complicated." Jay laughed and kissed him, slow and deep and perfect. Pepper, disgusted by the display, jumped off Ren's lap with an indignant meow. They broke apart, laughing. "Your cat hates me." "She hates everyone. It's part of her charm." "I should probably go," Ren said, even though everything in him wanted to stay. "Stay, just to sleep. I'll be a perfect gentleman." "That's the problem. I don't want you to be a gentleman." "Okay, just to sleep." Chapter 12, 3 months later. 3 months passed in a blur of events, stolen kisses, and falling deeper in love than Ren had ever thought possible. Jay handled the Sokolov situation, details Ren didn't ask for and Jay didn't volunteer, and the last of the questionable connections were severed. The Kalman family business stood on its own merits now, legitimate and proud. Ren's business was thriving. Turns out being the exclusive planner for the Kalmans opened doors he'd never dreamed of. He hired 2 more coordinators and moved into a bigger office. And somewhere along the way, he'd stopped thinking of Jay's penthouse as Jay's place and started thinking of it as home. "You know," Ren said one evening, curled up on the couch with Pepper purring on his lap and Jay's arms around him, "when I helped that bride escape, I never imagined it would lead to this." "To what? You, me, and a judgmental cat?" "To being happy, to finding," Ren gestured vaguely, "this, us." Jay pulled him closer, kissing his temple. "Best runaway bride I ever had." Ren's phone buzzed with a text from Yuki. "New client wants a spring wedding, 6 weeks, 800 guests. Should I tell them you're booked?" He showed Jay the message. "That's ambitious," Jay said. "I know," Ren grinned. "Should I take it?" "Only if you promise to take Sundays off and move in here officially. I'm tired of you pretending you have another apartment." Ren's heart stopped. "Move in?" "You're here every night anyway. Pepper likes you. I love you," Jay said. "It's simply like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Move in with me." I am a goner for this man. I'm definitely entering the lavishing wifey phase, and I love it. "Okay," Ren said, trying not to sound as emotional as he felt. "Yes, I'll move in." "And Sundays off?" "Sundays are non-negotiable," Ren agreed. As he typed his response to Yuki, Jay's arms around him, Pepper purring, the city lights twinkling outside, Ren thought about all the choices that had led him here. Best, worst decision I ever made. I love you, Jay said quietly. I love you too, Ren replied, meaning it completely. Outside, the city continued its endless motion, but here, in this moment, everything was exactly as it should be.